Whispers of Love in the Heart of Austin. In the bustling heart of Austin, Texas, there was a quiet coffee shop that looked like it had seen better days. Its walls, once a vibrant shade of turquoise, had faded to a muted blue, reminiscent of an old photograph. The chalkboard menu outside the door boasted of organic beans and homemade pastries, but the chalk had smudged, and the promises looked more like whispers of the past. Yet every morning without fail, a young woman named Lena pulled open the heavy door and stepped inside. Lena had a way of moving that was both deliberate and gentle, as if she was always considering the space she occupied. Her hair was a soft cloud of cinnamon curls that bobbed around her shoulders, and her eyes, a warm brown, held a kindness that seemed to invite confessions from strangers. She'd usually grab a corner table by the window, where she could watch the city wake up. The barista, an older woman named Clara, knew her order by heart: a small black coffee with a spritz of almond milk. As the aroma of freshly ground beans filled the air, Clara would often share stories of the city from her youth. Her words painted a picture of a different time, one where music flowed through the streets like a river, and the air was thick with the promise of possibility. Lena listened intently, her hand wrapped around the cool porcelain of her mug. As if by osmosis, she could absorb the essence of the tales and the strength of Clara's youth. The bell above the door jingled as two other regulars entered, their laughter cutting through the morning calm. One was a young tattooed artist named Margot, whose eyes danced with the vibrancy of her colorful sleeves. The other was a woman named Elena, a journalist who carried the weight of untold stories in the lines around her eyes. They nodded in greeting to Clara and made their way to the counter, their footsteps echoing on the worn wooden floor. Margot and Elena had a ritual of their own. They'd sit across from Lena, sipping their drinks, and discuss their latest projects and heartaches. The three had formed a bond over shared lattes and silent nods of understanding. Their conversations were a tapestry of ambitions and fears, each thread weaving in and out of the others, creating a pattern of friendship that was both intricate and unbreakable. On this particular morning, as Clara delivered Lena's coffee, she paused, her eyes lingering on the young woman's face. "You okay, Lena?" she asked, her voice a soft drawl. "You look like you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders." Lena managed a weak smile and nodded, taking a sip of her drink. She'd been carrying a secret, one that felt like a boulder in her chest, and she hadn't found the right words to share it with her friends. The door swung open again, and in walked the two men who would unknowingly change the course of their lives. One was a burly, bearded musician named Jack, whose guitar case bore the scars of countless gigs. The other was Leo, a soft-spoken poet with a gentle smile and a penchant for button-down shirts. They were an unlikely duo, but their friendship was as steadfast as the oak trees that lined the streets of the city. Jack and Leo approached the table, their laughter fading as they caught the somber mood. "Everything all right, ladies?" Jack asked, his eyes scanning the table. Lena looked up, meeting his gaze, and for a moment, she felt as if he could see right through her. She blinked, the tears that had been threatening to spill over retreating back to their corners. "Just another morning," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Margot and Elena exchanged a concerned look. They had noticed the change in their friend but had given her space, not wanting to intrude. The tension grew as the four of them sat in silence, the only sound the occasional hiss of the espresso machine and the distant hum of traffic outside. It was a moment ripe for secrets to be spilled, for hearts to be laid bare. And as the sun began to cast its golden glow over the city, Lena took a deep breath, and with a tremble in her voice, she started to speak. The words spilled out of her like a dam breaking. She talked about her longing for a family, the love she'd lost, and the fear of being alone. She spoke of her struggle to find acceptance in a world that didn't always understand. Her friends leaned in, their eyes filled with empathy and a silent promise to be there for her. And as she reached the end of her confession, Jack strummed a chord on his guitar, and Leo spoke the first line of a poem that seemed to capture the essence of Lena's soul. In that moment, something shifted in the air of the coffee shop. The walls that had held so many whispers of the past now vibrated with the promise of a new chapter. As the five of them sat together, bound by shared pain and hope, it was clear that their lives were about to become intertwined in ways they could never have anticipated. The story of their friendship was just beginning, and it was one that would resonate with the very heartbeat of Austin itself. Margot reached over and took Lena's hand, her inked fingers a stark contrast to Lena's unblemished skin. "You know we're here for you, right?" she said, her voice thick with emotion. Elena nodded, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "You're not alone." The warmth of their touch felt like a balm to Lena's soul, easing the ache that had been growing inside her for so long. Jack, ever the pragmatist, leaned in with a gentle smile. "So what's the plan?" he asked, his eyes flicking between the women. "We can't change the past, but we can sure as hell make the future brighter." His words were a challenge, a declaration of support wrapped in the casual ease of a man who had seen enough of the world to know that love and friendship could conquer almost anything. Leo, lost in thought, spoke up. "Perhaps we could start a support group," he suggested tentatively. "A safe space for people like us to share and grow together." The idea took root, and soon they were all throwing out suggestions, their voices melding into a symphony of hope and determination. It was a simple idea, but in that moment it felt revolutionary. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, casting long shadows across the floorboards, they sat and talked, planning their new venture. The air was electric with possibility, and the coffee grew cold in their cups. Clara, who had been quietly wiping down the counter, paused to listen, a small smile playing on her lips. She had seen many people come and go in her coffee shop, but these five had a spark that was undeniable. They were about to write a story that would be remembered long after the last chords of Jack's guitar had faded into the night. The days that followed were a whirlwind of activity. They met in the early mornings before the coffee shop opened, brainstorming and organizing. The once dormant chalkboard outside now boasted of their weekly meetings, and the worn couch in the corner became a symbol of comfort and belonging. They painted the walls a warm, inviting shade of sunset orange and filled the shelves with books that spoke of love in all its forms. The whispers of the past grew louder, melding with the laughter and tears of their present to create a harmony that was uniquely theirs. And so, in the heart of Austin, Texas, a group of five unlikely friends began to change the tune of the city. They were the chorus of the unheard, the poets of the misunderstood. Their story was one of love, loss, and the unshakable bond that forms when souls collide. Through shared experiences and open hearts, they grew stronger, and the world began to take notice of the light they shone in the darkest corners. Their support group grew, and with it so did their impact. They hosted open mic nights where people could share their stories, and art exhibits that showcased the beauty of their community. The coffee shop, once a mere backdrop to their lives, had become a beacon of acceptance and hope. And every time the bell above the door jingled, it was a reminder that their hearts were open and ready to embrace anyone who needed a safe haven. The city, with its quirky charm and pulsing music scene, became the backdrop to their unfolding saga. They faced challenges both from within and without, but together, they were a force to be reckoned with. Their friendship was a testament to the power of vulnerability, and their love was a reminder that no matter how jaded the world might become, there would always be pockets of warmth and understanding. The story of Lena, Margot, Elena, Clara, Jack and Leo was one that would be told for generations. A tale of love that transcended the boundaries of convention and expectation. It was a story that proved that no matter where you come from, who you love, or what you look like, you can find your tribe in the most unexpected of places. And in the end, it was not the grandeur of their achievements that would be remembered, but the quiet, unyielding strength of their hearts, beating in unison like a love song played on a well-worn guitar. As the weeks turned into months, their little coffee shop grew into a sanctuary for the lost and the lonely. People came from all walks of life to find solace in their shared experiences, to laugh and cry and heal together. The walls that had once whispered of Clara's youth now sang with the vibrant voices of those who had found refuge within. The once faded turquoise was now a canvas for a mural that told the story of their community, a tapestry of faces and hearts, reaching out to embrace one another. The group faced opposition, of course. There were those who didn't understand, who saw their love as a threat to the fabric of society. But they persevered, their spirits buoyed by the knowledge that they were not alone. They held hands and raised their voices in protest against injustice, their numbers swelling as more and more people found the courage to stand alongside them. And when the shadows of doubt and fear grew long, they would return to the coffee shop, to the warm embrace of the people who knew their worth. Through it all, their friendship remained the bedrock of their lives. They celebrated milestones and mourned losses, each moment a testament to the depth of their connection. Lena found a new love, a woman who saw the world through the same gentle lens she did. Margot's art began to reflect the beauty of their bond, and her pieces grew in renown. Elena's articles brought their stories to the world, her words a beacon in the dark for those still searching. Clara, their wise and steadfast mentor, watched her coffee shop transform into something more than she had ever dreamed. And Jack, with his music and his heart, became the soul of their group. His songs, infused with the spirit of their love, resonated with a depth that moved even the most stoic of hearts. The notes he played on his guitar were a declaration of war against ignorance and hate, and the rhythm of his words was the heartbeat of a movement. Together, they were a symphony of hope, a reminder that love is love, and it will always find a way to thrive. Their story was not one of grand gestures or dramatic finales, but of small moments of kindness that grew into a legacy of acceptance. It was a tale of coffee-stained mornings and late-night confessions, of hands held tightly through the storms and hearts that never faltered. It was the story of 5 individuals who, by daring to love openly and fiercely, changed the very essence of their corner of the world. And as the seasons changed and the leaves fell to be replaced by new growth, the coffee shop remained a constant, a beacon of light in the heart of Austin. The laughter and the tears, the love and the heartache, all wove themselves into the very fabric of the city. And when the sun set on their days and the neon lights of the city flickered to life, the friends knew that their love had left an indelible mark, a legacy that would echo through the streets long after they were gone.